into this though, because I know that at 3:30 we need to start the agency meeting.
4 o'clock.
Oh, 4 o'clock. Never mind. I'm gonna talk forever. You're welcome. This is gonna be awesome. So for any of you that might be new or might not know who I am, I know most of the ones in the St. Louis office now that I hadn't got to meet, I have now. But I'm Zane. I'm your guys' worksite trainer. I normally come and help out and see where I can help out with the training goes and on Mondays and some just different things like that. But like I was telling these guys at this table, you guys probably won't see me until we roll out the worksite needs-based presentation here, because that's what we're doing now. But either way, most of your guys' management has my numbers too. So at any point, if you guys need things, I'm going to put my number up here at the end here too. So if you guys have questions, you guys need things, my entire job is to help you guys out. That I literally travel around to help people close cases, make more money, move up in leadership. That is literally my whole job criteria. So do not be afraid to reach out to me at any point in time. Like I said, I'll have my number here at the end of this. But we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. We're going to talk about some conversions and we're going to talk about some activity things. I think the number one thing that we need to talk about, though, is just straight activity. I'm going to be straight up with you guys. When I look at the numbers each week, and it looks like there's a lot of people working part-time and expecting for full-time pay. Just being straight up. This job, I want you all to know, like, congratulations, everybody sitting in here and everybody in Kansas City and Springfield. You all are business owners now. Congratulations, that's fantastic. But that comes with a level of responsibility for yourself. I want you all to think about, if you started opening up a construction business, I hate to break it to you, if you started a construction business last week, you're probably working more than 40 hours for the first year that you start. That's just what comes with this. And I'm not saying that I don't want a good work-life balance, and Zane came from corporate and was like, everybody needs to be working 70 hours a week every week. No, I want you to have that good work-life balance. But I also want you to take self-accountability for what it's going to take to be successful here. So for us, we know the metric from last year, and actually the year before, didn't change a whole lot. For the entire average of everybody, every agency, it was 104 walk-ins to get a closed case on average. Now, that is the most veteran agents and people the most green behind the ears. So take that with what you can, but just realize that on average, it takes us 104 walk-ins to close a case. And for us to make, and I know that if I close one case a week here, I am almost guaranteed to make 6 figures every single time. If you close one case every single week, you're almost guaranteed to get 6 figures. So why would we not do everything in our power to make sure that we hit that amount of activity? Like you should be shooting to try to get 100 walk-ins every single week. Do I realize you're not going to hit 100 walk-ins a week? Yes, I get that. I really do. I understand you're going to have enrollments. You're going to have things that come up. There's going to be all sorts of different things that you're going to run into that are going to get in your way. But a lot of times what I see is people are letting things get in the way rather than them taking control of their own schedule or different things like that. I get it. We're 1099 now. We don't punch a time clock. It is super easy to be the person that takes the dog to the vet or the kids to the school every time. Or, oh, hey, actually, I forgot to do this deduction, so I want to run over an hour out of my way in the middle of the day. We need to come with a good set plan, reared up and ready to go. And I promise you guys, I do, because I am living proof of it. You can walk your way into figuring this out and trusting the system. But I did not do well. I know when I talked before the last time that I was here, I did not start out super hot in this career. It took me a month, 2 months out on my own to even really start setting appointments, much less closing cases by myself. I did close one case by myself like a month and a weekend, but that was a personal contact. Like I went to church with them growing up. You know what I mean? So to actually close cases through the system and really build my book of business, it took me hitting 70, 80, 90 walk-ins in a week, consistently week over week over week. And then it was like, I wasn't worried about going into a business anymore. I wasn't nervous when I walked into that place and was like, okay, what am I going to build rapport on? I already had those things holstered back. I had started figuring out hey, when I say this, people react this way. When I say this way, people started reacting different ways to me. So I promise you guys, and not only that, if you hit the amount of activity that you put on your 10 blocks, you are literally going to stumble into closes. You're going to walk into places that they're like, actually, we've been wanting to look into other benefits, or Aflac has pissed us off, or really, we just now are getting to a place where we wanted to start looking at this. You are going to run into these just easy cases as long as you hit the required activity and you're going into businesses that are qualified to work that. So all of that to say, all of this starts today. Everything starts on your Mondays when you first get in. Monday, you need to be reviewing your leads. You need to know what you've got going on. But it really all starts with your 10 blocks. And I know that I really didn't even put a slide of the 10 blocks on here. You guys all know what it looks like. But I just want everybody in here to realize, too, that 10 blocks at a time isn't Diana's goal for you. It's not Bailey's goal for you. It's not anything like that. These are the goals that you have for yourself. These are the goals that we have seen. It takes this amount of activity. It takes this amount of things to be successful in this career. So I completely understand things come up sometimes. I'm not saying that. But so say in the afternoon, you know that you were going to try to hit 25 walk-ins that day. Well, maybe you only ended at 20 because something came up. The great thing about this job is that we can make it up the next day. We can hit 2 or 3 businesses before 8, or then we can hit, 3 or 4 after 5, whatever we need to do to make up that time. But we've got to have that self-accountability to actually do it. Do I think it's super fun to work 10-hour days and then drive home 2 hours? No, I do not. But that's sometimes what we have to sacrifice to really see the results and see what you guys want for your careers, for your futures, for your child, for your children's future, whatever it can be. But it all starts with that 10 blocks and holding yourself accountable to it. We're not just putting things on there to check a box. That's very important. Also, knowing what your 4-week forecast is on the back of that 10 blocks. Like, hey, what kind of enrollments do I have coming up? Because I knew that when I was in the field, if I looked at that and next week I didn't have any enrollments, I knew I didn't have a paycheck coming in next week. So what was I going to do this week to get it to where I do have enrollments for those weeks, or for my team, or whatever it could be? Also, when you come in, like 8 o'clock, we got to be pack calling. We got to be in here on time. We got to make sure that we're pack calling, getting these all qualified the right way, because this is where everything starts. If we don't get our leads qualified the correct way, we can't do any of the rest of the system the right way. So while do I think that pack calls are the most fun thing in the entire world? No. Did I talk to my supervisor about any single way I could possibly get out of pack calls ever when we were going through things? Yes, almost every single week. But I know the weeks that I actually did what I was supposed to the right way, made the pack calls the right way, got all the right information. I was actually a little bit more excited to go out that way. I was like, hey, I've got some new fresh leads. I've got some good research. I'm super excited. And so much of everything we do, which I know is our entire everything that we do anymore is mindset. But so much of this comes down to our mindset every single day. And being able to go into every single day actually being intentional with everything that we're doing. So that starts with the pack calls. And then, guys, I did almost an entire training on research. I'm going to touch on some different things. But really, from what I've seen with you guys, you do pretty well with the research. So I'm not going to hit on that super hard. So really balancing our week. So we should have at least an 80 business route on our, should be our goal. We should have at least 8. Should be our goal for every single week, so that we can make sure that we're getting in enough new walk-ins. We're hitting our follow-ups that we need to. We're just really getting that experience that we can. We can look up our previous things that we've called on before, as far as what businesses that we've been into, that we know what follow-ups we need. We know we're clicking through when we get there, so that we know which follow-ups that we have for that month, what hot follow-ups we have, different things like that. If you have no idea what I'm talking about right now, please get with me after this so we can talk about hot and warm leads and different things like that and how to utilize them. But really, we also need to make sure that we're not just spending an entire day going to all follow-ups. Because one, we can end up spinning our wheels in that situation. because all of the follow-ups, those are all ones that we've already been into one time at least, and we haven't gotten in front of decision makers. So we know they're not in consistently because the last time that we went in, so we can spend an entire day going into places where we're doing is just trying to get in front of DM, and then we may hit one, two, or three, a couple, but we're not even prepared for them because we've already ran into six to nine gatekeepers that morning that already told us that they're not around or they're never in or whatever it is. So it almost catches us off guard. So we want to have a good mixture of that 60 to 40 split. I know we talked about on the webinar a whole lot, but also I want you guys to understand once you get into your career a little bit, I'm completely understanding that sometimes this is going to switch. You know, you could be 60% follow up and 40% new. That's just what that's going to look like sometimes. I really don't care as long as we're getting a good mix in. Really, if I'm being straight up, we want to make sure that every single route that we're going on, we've got new things that we're excited about getting into and follow ups that we know we think we can close. Also, I don't have it on here, but almost every single week, I'm clicking on that presentation's not closed for whatever I'm going to. Because if I got to sit down with them and present to them, like I already have that relationship, I already know this. A lot of times you're just a couple more touch points away. A lot of times they're still vetting you to see if you're still going to show up, if you're, and because everybody's had insurance agents that have showed up one time and never showed back up. So much of everything that we do is about them vetting us and keep making sure that we are separating ourselves from everybody else. And so also just in general, it's going to keep us balanced. I know, especially for management and new agents, whatever it is, Mondays can be hectic. We feel like we have 9,000 things going on and we're going three different ways. And then the guy from corporate shows up and wants to talk for an hour. Things are going to happen. That's part of it. But we can take some accountability. I know me, I work from home on Fridays. I don't work very well from home. I get distracted very easy. I literally every Friday morning, we have a meeting at 8:30, but I will get on at 7:45 and I literally type out a list of everything that I have to do that day, the times that I need to get them done by, just simply because I know if I don't, I'm going to be doing laundry. I'm going to be outside playing with the dog. Like there's going to be things that I don't get done because I'm not holding myself accountable to it. When I was in the field, when I was a supervisor, we actually had our team meeting at 7 a.m. So I actually showed up at 6 because I had to get my stuff together before that. And sometimes that's what it takes in this career, just to make sure that we can make sure that we're prepared for our team and whatever we've got going on. I know here, actually, I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit. Sorry, team, 1 second. So that everybody can see that. There we go. Okay. I know that I had this on our 3 hours training. I just want to keep this in front of you guys. Because every single week, and I'm not even saying it's you guys, but everywhere I go, it's like, hey, if I get into this, 100-person business, I mean, my year's made. Like, I'm going to make enough money for almost a year to take care of everything. Guys, we're going to be, again, spinning our wheels. We want to make sure that we're getting into things that, one, we can really benefit, and two, we want to make sure if you close a business on Tuesdays, you can go and roll with that Friday. Because we want to make sure you're getting money in your pockets. We want to make sure that you're staying in position for that next movement up into leadership. And that's the building blocks of building generational wealth right here. It's these businesses anywhere between 5 and 30 people. I promise you can build a great career out of businesses 5 to 30 people, but you can also make it to where you don't have gas in your tank if you are going for businesses that are over 50 employees all the time. I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. I'm not saying that we can't close them. I'm not saying that we can't benefit those employees. I'm saying for you guys to benefit the most out of our Worksite Advantage program, this is what we specialize in, is the 5 to 30 people. Also, just in general, like, I know this doesn't have to do with activity, but I'm going to kind of get into the like the conversion side of things right now. It all starts with the script, guys. I get it. When I first started, I was like, you want me to sound like a robot? You want me to sound scripted? Like, this doesn't make any sense. We're dealing with people. Like, I was very, I don't want to say apprehensive, but I was very like, I'm I don't like how some of this is phrased. I don't like how they do this. The gatekeeper script, that seems a little bit confrontational. And then you want me to disengage from somebody after I've talked to them? That's not what I do. I promise you guys, if you go out and take self accountability, run that gatekeeper script the right way, you will almost double. If you're not running this gatekeeper script right, you will almost double the decision makers that you see this. I've seen it time and time and time again. Now that comes with going in, building that good set and good relationship with them at the beginning, having a good open-ended question to ask them, even if we walk into a business with four white walls. Because I know a lot of times we're sitting around, we're trying to look at things to ask about, always having some things in your back pocket. My always go-to is, what do they have you working on today? I know it sounds simple. It sounds like, what are you going to get out of that? You don't know what kind of can of worms that can open up. Now, a lot of times you're just getting, hey, I'm working on some emails. Oh, that's cool. That's fun. That's awesome. Are you the type of person that has to have them all read, or are you like me that has 75 unread emails right now? You might get a chuckle and be like, oh no, I've got to have them out. I was like, okay, are you a meticulous person? Whatever it is, we just need to break that wall so that we can open up that relationship with them. Again, with that rapport side of things, we want to make sure that we understand, just because we walk into a business and a gatekeeper's immediately like, what do you want? What do you need? Like, what can I help you with? That is their entire job. Their job is to see what we do. Like, if they didn't do that, there would be something wrong. So it is completely fine to talk, to be like, hey, actually, before I get into that, I actually had a question for you. And then ask your open-ended question, whatever it is, whether it is, it's completely fine to deter them away from what their agenda was. Now, a good, easy way to control the conversation, you want to make sure you're the first person to initiate conversation. So I know that we've all walked into businesses where you walk in and there's 4 desks in the very back. Whatever it is, like, hey, hi, how you doing? It can be that simple. Now, if you're walking into like just a normal business or whatever, make sure you're the first person to initiate that conversation in every single situation, because if we don't, we can't control where that goes. If you let them ask, oh, hey, where can I help you? And then that's going to throw you off. Make sure you're the first person. Again, we're going to talk about some posture and some different things like that. And I can go on a whole nother tangent on all of this, but practice, I'm going to talk about that, but just trust it. Guys, everybody in this room that you see in leadership, myself included, I had to trust the system. I had to follow these rebuttals to a T until I could figure out how to handle it myself. I completely understand that you're going to make this a little bit your own. I want you to, but not until you know that script like the back of your hand, when you can put some emphasis in it. You can change your tone. You can, figure out some different things that maybe they might be interested in. I'm going to tell you guys right now, for my not interested, I always say, hey, I completely understand. I understand that you're not interested. You have some random bald guy that just walked in your business that you don't know from left from up. But I really do think that if you saw how we've helped other business owners at no cost to them, you would really see the value. Is now a good time. So yes, am I using the script? 100% no. I'm adding my flair into it. But those are the things that we can add into it once we know it like the back of our hands. So that comes down to practicing at home, practicing it with your loved ones. My cousins were so sick of me presenting. I know you guys have heard this, a few of you, but really, I tell you right now, they did not want to see my presentation, hear my scripts or anything anymore. And I had to resort to recording myself, which I don't know if you guys are like me. I hate my voice. I don't know why. I do not sound on there what comes in my ears. So I don't like it. So for me to record myself was awful. But now I will say it helped me tremendously, because my filler words, my different things, like I always say when I listen to my webinars, how many more times can you say in a sentence? Just whatever it can be. So we're always getting better. We're always trusting the system. But really, our ability to communicate is really where this all goes. And it all starts with really delivering the message. And it really comes with your confidence and how you deliver it. Walking in with your shoulders all slumped over, like you're not excited to be in there, slow walking, they're not going to want to do business with you. They're going to walk all over you. Because if you look like you don't want to be there, they're going to treat you like you don't want to be there or you're not supposed to be there. If you go in chest back, shoulders high, enunciating yourself. Now, you don't have to be like me and yell everything that you said, because that can be a little intense for people. So if you're a little bit louder, for me, I had to tone it down a little bit. If you know you're a little bit more soft spoken, you may need to bring it up a little bit. Making sure that your chest's back so your diaphragm can breathe and you can talk and all that fun mumbo jumbo there. But we want to make sure that we want people to feel good. We want to leave a lasting impression on people. We want to make sure that the next time that we come back, they're excited to see us and they're not like, oh, this really weird insurance person's back again, if they even remember you. You know, I mean, like, that conversation was awkward. I don't want to have it again. We want to leave that long lasting impact on our audience, but in a professional way. I know I already talked about it. Again, I literally have seen it double people's decision makers met. And doubling our decision makers met, that means we're getting into more presentations. All I care about is getting into presentations. I'm going to be straight up with you guys. I don't care if you do 10 walk-ins a week, if you get 4 or 5 presentations. That's probably not the, again, most corporate thing for me to say, but all I care about is getting in presentations. But we can't get to those presentations if we don't get to the person, okay? So use our gatekeeper script, and I know they are asking us questions. Again, it's their job to figure out what we're there for. It's our job not to let them know. 100%. We need to keep our cards close to our chest. We don't need, a gatekeeper acting as a decision maker. We don't need them going and playing a telephone game with us being from life insurance or whatever it can be. We want to make sure that we are introducing ourselves in person. I know I already talked about it kind of with Drew. We're not giving business cards away. We're not sending emails. We're not doing any of this stuff. We only do business in person because one, we work. I pressed the button. One, we work very hard on learning our presentation. So hard. I mean, you go through training, you hear it, you do it in the car. We work on it on our own time. Like, we work so hard about knowing our product and our presentation so well. Why are we letting anybody else talk about our product without us? Especially people that we haven't presented to, because they have no idea what we're doing. They just think that we're the insurance people. I promise you, if you don't give up much information, which again is hard to do if you're not disengaging. That's the big thing that I see out in the field a whole lot, is that you do end up giving up more information if you're like, hey, Drew, could you let Tony know that I'm here to see him? And you're standing there looking at him. Of course, they want to ask you more questions. But if I'm like, hey, Drew, could you let Tony know that I'm here to see him? And they got to be like, hey, what's going on? What's this in regards to? Yeah, I just need to talk to him directly. And then going back, like, if you act like you're not supposed to be there, they're going to treat you like you're not supposed to be there, like I said. But if you disengage, it's really hard for them to, one, it's going to fluster them in a lot of situations. They're like, okay, I need to go get him. This guy's obviously important. He just turned and started texting on his phone when he told me I need to speak with him directly. Again, just little things like that. Owning the room that you're in every single time you're doing it. Who is the person that was in training the last? Who just got out of the classroom training last? How sick it was saying this were you? pretty well over it. I bet so. But the whole reason behind us putting that in there to where it's ridiculously annoying is so that you remember it. Because while all of our Monday and our routes and everything, that starts with back calls, this is where everything we do starts. So if we don't ask if now is a good time, all of our rebuttals start with our answers to that. So if we don't ask them if now is a good time, and we're just sitting in a lull, we never know what's going on. Or if we're going immediately for an appointment, why did we waste our time driving to that business if we're not even going to try to present at it? You want to take time to come back and hope that they're actually going to be there for their appointment? No, I want to know if now is a good time. I've had so many that I go into with, and the decision maker, they'll be going for appointments and they're like, well, can we not just do this right now? Like, so many times. I promise you, start with this. Ask them if now is a good time, even if they look busy. We're not trying to interrupt what business they have going on. We're trying to set ourselves up for those appointment days and times. Like, oh no, obviously I got so much going on. Like, oh, I figured you were. That's okay. I normally work by appointment anyways. I'm actually working with XYZ Roofing right up the road. I'll actually be back tomorrow. I had 10:15 available or 2:45, which one works better? Just knowing your dates and times, that can be such a big deal. I'm not going to go off on that tangent because I will be here for another 30 minutes. Please start here. Yes.
Say if you are newer and you haven't re-asked, talk to your SA because we do. Not only is now a good time. Oh no, I'm busy. Okay, it's only going to take 15 minutes. You can squeeze the in. So we ask the second time, then we ask for the appointment. So you got one more ask.
Okay, like that a lot.
Yep, we just add like if you're telling them oh it's going to take 15 minutes, then it's a little less.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not going to be an hour of my time. We haven't said that yet.
Yeah, perfect.
But definitely use that. It's in the team drive. You guys can talk about.
Love everything about that. Okay, some different techniques when we're talking to people, when we're rebuttaling, when we're building rapport. This is just real some different things. Honestly, that I felt like I needed when I first got started because while I felt like I was really good at talking to people when I was out and about or if I was hanging out with some friends, like I was always very social and different things like that. But when I got into this, I was like, oh, I'm in their world. I have to try to get them engaged. I have to do all of this. And I had a lot of troubles with really delivering things in the right way. I had troubles like really gaining buy-in with people because I wasn't building good relationships with people. So everything that we do really comes down to it. So like I said, we can't do any of this until we know our scripts. Like we don't even have to think about them. But once we do, then we can start adding that pitch variation. Like, hey, I can really save you some tax dollars or whatever it can be, wherever you're at. I know that was a terrible explanation. But our tone, making sure that we're reflecting their tone. If they're a little bit more soft spoken and chill, we want to make sure that we're being soft spoken and not yelling in their face. Again, volume control, like I said, I had the worksite trainer come out with me. They called me the Kool-Aid Man. Because every single business that I walked into, she was like, you were like, oh yeah. Like every single one. Because I get pumped up about things. But also the places we were going into, one was literally a library that I was a little aggressive in. And then there was another one that the poor kid just took over for his dad. He was like a 25-year-old kid and he was very soft-spoken and it was awful. It was bad. So just make sure you're reading the room and what's going on and different things like that. We also want to make sure that we're making eye contact. Now, again, I always say don't stare through their soul or creep them out. We're not trying to get 911 called on us, but if you don't make good eye contact with people, a lot of people see that as disrespect. They just really do. If you're not making eye contact with them, and this was hard for me, and I didn't even realize I was doing it until my supervisor pointed out at me. It's not that I'm trying to be disrespectful when I think, I look down. That's just how I did. So I had to consciously remember, hey, when we're talking eye to eye and different things like that. Making sure our gestures are purposeful, making sure we have good posture. Another big thing is don't have your hands in your pockets. Because if somebody's prior military or prior police, which a lot of our business owners are, they're going to see that as a sign of disrespect. And just in general, you look a lot more like a professional. What I know for me, I want to, so I put them in my belt loop just so they can see my hands or whatever you need to do for that kind of thing, but also control our expressions. I'll talk about that here in a second, just because I've got kind of the story with that. So really navigating our objections, the best way to do that is to know our material. I already know that. We can anticipate our common objections. I mean, Bobby, how often do you get a rebuttal that's not actually in the script, as far as like even on a creative objective? Well, not often. Literally all of the objections that we give to you guys that in the scripts, that's what you're going to hear in the field. They're going to say it different ways. Of course, there's going to be different verbiage on it, but we literally give you the tools to know what they're going to do so that you can anticipate all of that. And again, rehearsing. If you have not recorded yourself, do a presentation. I challenge you to do that tonight. Go home, set up the phone, run through your presentation with all your tie downs, everything that you're doing. Or even if you need to do it to where you set up a phone and you role play with whoever you have at home, your dog, your cat, I don't even care. But just making sure that you're rehearsing it over and over again. And then making sure that we're maintaining our composure. Make sure that we're staying calm. There are going to be some people that are going to try to push their buttons every now and again. You know, I always think that everybody's a little bit rough to me. Somebody walked in and kicked their dog first thing. It's not on me, it's on them. But just in general, we want to stay calm, be professional. We don't always have to come back with a response immediately. Okay. We also, you know, when people are giving us objections, if we're giving different times, it is okay to take a second, take a deep breath, and really analyze what you're going to say next. I know for me, really hard to not diarrhea out of the mouth sometimes because also when they're talking, I'm already thinking about what I'm coming back with them on. But it's completely okay to pause, take a deep breath, come back with your rebuttal. One, you're going to be able to deliver it a lot with a little bit more oomph to it, but also you're going to make sure that you are actually thinking through the whole what they said. Because a lot of times they would start with one rebuttal, and by the end of the sentence, it was the other one, but I had no idea what they were saying because I was so focused on what I was going to rebuttal that first thing that they said, but they really didn't care about it. So we want to make sure we're pausing, reflecting on what they have, and then the eye contact again. But a lot of times the first objection is literally them just trying to push you off. Just straight up, they're going to say whatever they've said in the past to get the insurance people away before. Because I promise you, no matter what, they've been solicited insurance by somebody else at any point if they're a business. Especially if they've been open for more than a couple years, they're going to see somebody at some. So we want to make sure that we're not the people that they can just push off first right off the bat. Because again, a lot of times they're vetting you to see what you've got going on. But again, we want to listen more than we talk. We want to be asking probing questions throughout the presentation. We want to be asking, that's why we have the whole benefit fact sheet, to ask them questions, probing things to make sure that we understand everything that we really need. Okay, and I'm actually going to stay here for a second because so just kind of a little bit of story time real quick. So this weekend, I was out mowing my yard and with my push mower, and one of the pest control sales guys comes up. And for me, I love this because I'm like, okay, let's see what this guy's got. It gets me pumped up. So I'm out there mowing, I'm sweating and everything, and stop and turn off the mower. I walk up and I was like, hey, what's going on? And I will tell you, this guy had rapport down great, which he didn't even know how great he had it because he came up and he was like, hey man, the lines in this yard are looking fantastic. How do you keep them so straight or whatever? He doesn't know that only 4 weeks ago I bought a push mower for that exact reason. Okay. I wanted those nice lines in my yard because now I want to be an adult and do all of that. So he was asking me that. I was like, oh man, I just started in the middle. I really have no idea what I'm doing. He built some really good rapport with me. We were kind of chalking it up. And then immediately just goes, hey man, you know, I'm working with so-and-so up the road. He said so-and-so, literally said so-and-so. I was like, so you really don't have anybody working up on the road. But in general, like tried to name drop, did everything that he needed to, you know, there. He was like, and then he was like, hey, you know, man, we're actually running a special for Mother's Day this weekend. And I was like, okay, cool. And he was like, and also my manager, he's like, he's sick of these tech. And we said something else between that. And then he was like, well, also my manager, he's sick of the technicians getting paid to not work. And he's like, so he told me to come fill up the books. So I need to make sure that I'm getting all these things filled up or whatever. And talked about the price the entire time. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't even know what this guy does. He didn't build any value. And so finally, I just used my fiance excuse, and I was, which is very true, because I always say that I may wear the pants, but she picks them out. So I had to go in and check with her. But we got sent out, and there's a couple different things with it. One, he didn't build any value in the product, so that's why I also want to make sure that we know just throwing free benefits at people or what our cost is isn't always going to matter much to people. That's not really going to matter a whole lot. This, I guess, would be kind of a subtle brag, but honestly, if you come looking at our neighborhood, you wouldn't think that we would be super worried about a little bit more of a price for a better product, if you want to know the truth. So we want to figure out what they need and what they want. but not only that, after I came out and I was like, hey man, like she said we've already got somebody doing it, whatever. And he was like, okay, cool. And I was like, well, do you have a business card or anything for that? He didn't give me a business card. Again, was still doing good, well there, but he was just like, no, I'm just the road guy, and like literally like went like this and then like walked off. And I was like, man, even if I would have thought about it, if you would have came back, I might have given you another chance. So we want to make sure that we are controlling our emotions. No matter whether it's walking outside the business because we don't know who's still watching. If you want to get in your car, drive down the road and let them have it to the windshield as much as you want, get after them. That's fine. I had plenty of hours calling my supervisor or agents calling me like, you'll never guess what this guy said to me. Not that you're going to get it every week by any means, but there's going to be those one-offs that people just really have that. So we want to make sure we're professional, okay? Because we want to make sure that one, we realize that not only you're representing yourself and your own business, you're representing Tony and the Filippo agencies, and you're representing Globe Life as a whole. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to stay professional and still rock and roll. So if I can, I know that I've said a lot of things that I didn't do well. This was probably the worst though. Out of everything that I did is I came in tiptoeing around decision makers. I came in thinking that a decision maker was way up here and I was just somebody coming in trying to sell them a product. These numbers say it itself. We paid out $1.7 billion in claims as Globe Life last year. And that is $1.7 billion of money to people's that family were in the worst situation that they could be in. I want you guys to realize that too. My very first life claim actually came from one of my really good friend's stepdads. It was a business that actually we had on the books for a very long time, but nobody had gotten it serviced in a long time. But I ended up being from that town, so they were like, "Hey," I was like, "Yeah, I can go talk to Becky. She'll probably let me in." But we went in, and they literally just bought a house 3 months before that. And I had sold them $75,000 worth of life insurance. And she said, when I got off the phone with her after we figured out that it was 100% paid for, she was crying on the phone with me, like, our house is paid off now. I didn't know what we were going to do. She worked at the same factory I used to work at. And I know what she made, and she was not going to be able to afford that new house. I have all sorts of different stories when it comes down to these kind of things. But that one just, for some reason, was hitting in my head there. Was just thinking about just my immediate friends and family. Would they be able to handle everything that they can? I know that multiple people in my family could not handle things if there was a final expense right now. And I'm telling you guys right now, GoFundMe is not life insurance. And I promise you, we are helping people. We're the people that they're going to say, hey, we put this money into things and we don't see anything about it. But those cases that you go into and you see that we filed a critical illness claim for them, or they had somebody that went through 17 rounds of chemo with cancer and had our policy, and how much we've really benefited their family and how they didn't know how they were going to pay their bills. I had one that had his dad had a heart attack the same age. He was actually, I think he was a year older, and he didn't know if he could afford the $10 by week. He was like, man, things are tight. He's like, I probably do need it. I'm not going to lie to you, but I don't know if we can. He ended up getting it, and 3 months later called me from the hospital. His wife worked part-time at a gas station. That was their only other income. He was like, I have no idea how we're going to pay our mortgage. So I know that this is all like all sob stories. I feel like I'm like the dogs on the whatever that commercial is where they play the sad dogs for you. But really, like I just want you guys to realize, like I always say, I'm like, I wish somebody could start out in their first week and write a policy and have somebody actually need it and have to use it, because that's what pushed me. That's what made me go in and really start rebuttaling hard. That's what made me make sure I was doing my things the right way, because I started taking self-responsibility for every business that I went into those polls. If I don't do my job the right way, if I don't go in and do this gatekeeper script, if I don't go in and have some good research for this decision maker to build that relationship so I can close this case, these families are not going to be protected. They could be like the one case that I had that I could not get them to set the enrollment date. They kept pushing it off, pushing it off, pushing it off, and then they had a guy fall off a ladder and break his back because I didn't become more uncomfortable to push them hard enough to do that. Because I guarantee that I could have if I would have put my foot down. I'm like, I need to make sure we're taking care of people. So when we're going into businesses, we're not taking up space. All right. We are helping them out. Even if it's just the accidental death coverage, everybody in there, if they have 10 employees, gets $30,000. We're giving that business for their employees $30,000 worth of accidental death coverage. Not to mention the no-cost discount card that saves on glasses and chiropractic care. The amount that saves on glasses and contacts, because I'm blind, to see how much that saves is really fantastic. I've had nonprofits that have literally just brought me in for the no-cost discount card because they can't afford to pay health insurance. And they have up to 85% on prescription drugs. Whatever you're doing, just realize when you're going out this week, it's on us. It's our responsibility to go out and make sure that these families are protected, whether it's in the short term or the long term. For me personally, the final expenses I think are the most important because people don't have money set aside for it. They just don't anymore. People aren't planning as well as they used to. That's just kind of what it comes down to. People my age and younger don't really think about these kind of things unless we bring it to them. They're not going to. And I know that my buddy bet me $100 at 20. I wasn't going to make the third. Now I did, but there's so many people out there living very recklessly too with children and different things like that. So let's make sure that we're coming out and making sure we're taking some self-responsibility. So really just our final tips and takeaways. I think we kind of know now at this point, let's rehearse. Let's work on our craft. Susan Sperry, one of our agency owners, she always talks about red time and green time. And I really like the way that she puts it because our green time, that's when we can get into businesses. Our green time, that's when we can talk to decision makers. That's when we can talk to business owners and really do that. So that's our 8 to 5. Okay, 7:30 to 5:30 because I can't say 8 before 8 and 5 after 5 with that. But that's the time that we can have to see the businesses because we're work side. After that time, that's when, we can work on getting a little bit better. We can know like, hey, I am not connecting with people well. I am not getting people bought in on me very quickly. I'm having a lot of decision makers push me off or want to, pull their employees a lot. And that really comes down to that relationship that you're building with them. So I need to listen to some podcasts. My YouTube is just full of rapport. Like, how do I build rapport? How do I build rapport? Podcasts, all of it. There's so much free knowledge out there. Use it. So make sure that your delivery style is great. Your pacing is good. When you are presenting, I know that when you video it, it tells you how long it is. Make sure you're keeping, what timing that is. Because if you're getting done with it super quick, that means you're probably talking way too fast. You don't want to be like Eminem through the presentation. That's all I'm saying. But we want to make sure that we're staying professional. Again, practice audience. One of the big things too, seek feedback, ask questions. The people that I see make it here are the people that come up and are like, hey, I'm having troubles with this. What can we work on? Hey, I've been having trouble. Like I keep presenting, but I can't get that close. Can you run through this with me? Or can you hop in the car with me? Whatever you need. You have a support system that cares about you guys here. All right. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Make sure you're reflecting on your performance. That starts in the middle of the day. Well, really, it can do every walk-in. But making sure that you're stopping halfway through the day. Even if you don't take lunch around lunchtime, look at your numbers. Where are you at? I think it's either page 32 or 36 that tells you if you're in the green, red, or yellow. And it gives you step-by-step things that tells you, okay, did I build rapport? Did I do my intro to the gatekeeper correctly? Did I rebuttal with the gatekeeper script? It'll tell you everything that you might be missing. You can self-analyze throughout that. Set some personal goals. So if you know there's something that you're struggling with, that you need help with, set a goal to get better at that. For me, my goal when I very first got started, when I was out in the field, was every single day was to not get stoned. I was like, I'm going to get an appointment. I'm going to have one person let me present. whatever it is, I'm going out here, I'm not getting scummed. Now then that went into two presentations, there are two conversions a day, maybe three, and then by the end of it, when I was running in the field all the time, it was 3 cases a week is what I wanted to close. That was my goal. So these goals are always going to move, but whatever it is, like put sticky notes, remind yourself. My first one was I had to build rapport. I would set a timer on my phone to buzz after a minute to make sure, because I would make myself talk to a gatekeeper. I made sure that they didn't have any idea why I was there for at least a minute. So I would sit in there awkwardly for a lot of them, just trying to muster up conversation and then finally figuring out what worked or what didn't work. But whatever it is. And then we're always moving and adapting. I always pronounce iterate wrong. I think I got it right that time. But we're always rolling with the punches here. We're always letting things roll off. Things are going to change. We're going to think an appointment's going to run, and then we don't have things that they end up not being there, forgetting that we're there. So we got to make sure that we're picking up the pieces and really hitting the rest of the day. But so much of this comes down to our mindset every single day. We have to be intentional. If you don't take anything away from anything I said today, is please be intentional when we're out there this week. Every single business that we go into, okay, I'm going into this. I'm not thinking about what deductions I have to do. I'm not thinking about my next walk-in. I'm not thinking about my appointment that I have later on. I'm thinking about this walk-in right here. What am I going to do to move my business forward every single walk-in? What am I going to take some self-responsibility to do? Going in there with every single one. This presentation, I'm gonna hammer. I'm gonna know everything about it, but just be intentional with everything that we do, and I promise you guys, you'll start seeing a lot, seeing your numbers just spike. But we got to be intentional, and really, for the last thing, go out and have a good time. Like, have fun, chalk it up with them, give some people some crap. I had to take the stick out of my butt because I thought I was in a professional job now, and I had to be all professional all the time. We do need to be professional, but we can have a good time. We can give some people some crap, have a good time, chalk it up with them. We're working with a lot of blue collar guys. That's literally how everybody communicates, by giving each other crap. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Does anybody have? Oh, I guess I thought the other one had my number on it. I'll pull that up. While I'm doing this, does anybody have any questions? Oh, okay. Oh yeah, good call. I just realized what time it was. Okay, guys, and that if you don't have my number already, that is it. Um, if you are gonna text me, please text me your name, just so I have any idea who I'm talking to, maybe even where you're from, just to help me out. Since I'm in different places all the time. But like I said, my entire job is to help you guys out. I want to see your guys' success. I want to see you guys moving up. I want to see you guys making big paychecks. I want the most for all of you. So do not be afraid to reach out to me at any time. All right,
So
cool.